So tonight what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a piece that has been silk screened with the Colors for Earth color strokes, and then I'll show it to you colored, and I'm going to show you how to silk screen with our product, and hopefully you'll learn something new and enjoy this. Okay, so those of you that are just joining, hi, I'm Paula McCoy, owner of Colors for Earth. We are located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have on our website studios that carry our products. It's at the bottom of the web page, like the home page. It says CFE Studios and Teachers, and you can reach out to any of those in your area to get products. We also, of course, have the products on our website, which is listed at the top up here, www.colorsforearth.com. My email is there and my phone number. You can always comment on this video and I will answer your questions. My husband is assisting. He's going to ask any questions that you put in the comments. We are going to do 1 or 2 giveaways tonight, so be sure and comment, because he will spin the wheel and whoever it lands on will win a piece that I have painted. So let me go to the overhead camera. Okay, so this is the piece that we are going to do. This is a silk screen piece. This has been already colored and glazed. Okay, fired to an 06. So I'm going to show you, not this particular screen, but I'm going to show you how to do the color decoration on the bisque and how I silk screen. Okay, so the first thing that we need is a piece of bisque, and what I've got here is just a little flower. And what I've done, our silk screens, we are no longer producing silk screens, so any of them that are out on the website, you better grab them if you want them, because my lady had to retire. These can be used on both sides, meaning you can flip them over for an opposite. Okay, if you wanted to do it on 4 corners of a plate, that type of thing. So what you do is you cut them apart, but don't cut next to the design. You want to leave enough area that you have room to tape it down. Okay, like I've done here. And all I'm using is just the blue painter's tape. Okay, all right, so any of them that are out there, grab them. $16.95 I believe is the price, and like I said, when they're gone, they're gone. I don't have any in reserve. Everything is there that we have available. Okay, so what I've got here is our color thickener, and we use this with our glass and our ceramic products to thicken, to do silk screening with. And then what I'm going to use is an opaque underglaze, which is our color strokes. And this is CS601 Coal Black. With all of our products, make sure that you shake them. Bless you. Sorry, my husband sneezed. Of course, when you're live. This is an opaque underglaze. Could you do it with our translucent underglaze? Yes, I'm going to show you that in a minute. But with the opaque one, we are going to thicken this to start with. Okay, and then Bert will tell me if there's any questions out there. So I'm just going to put out some of the color, and then I'm going to add some of the thickener to it, and I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm going to just put a pinch of it there. Okay, and it will start thickening immediately. See that over the edge? Don't put too much, because then you're going to have to add more color, and then you end up with a whole lake of color, and you don't need that much. So what you're looking for is almost like, and I'm using a palette knife, like cottage cheese. And this is for our product specifically. If you're using other products, you'll have to ask them. So you see I'm just sprinkling it over just a little bit at a time. Work that up. While I'm doing this, Bert, does anybody have any questions? Or
that's it.
We have people from all over.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm working on ceramics tonight. Every other Tuesday night I will do ceramics, and the other ones I'll do glass, and then I may throw in a brushstroke one every now and then, because we have a line of ceramic products, a line of glass enamels for fused glass, and our brush company. Okay, we're almost there. I'm going to add just a little pinch more. And I think that'll be enough. Let me put the lid on this so I don't spill it. All right. And of course this will wash off of your hands and everything. You could wear gloves if you were concerned about it. You can silk screen in any color. Typically black is what everybody likes. Let me show you, like here is one. This is a really, really old. I've got glitter everywhere. I've been painting ornaments today. This one was silk screened with the black. I believe this was a old Martha Stewart one way back when.
Will any type of silk screen design work?
Yes. The difference in the silk screens would be the mesh, meaning how big the holes are. Okay, so basically we have burned, we made all of our own silk screens when we did them. Okay, so the image is burned out, but there still is silk there, so it depends on what the mesh is, how thick or thin that you need the product. Okay.
Sherry says it looks like all the silk screens on your website are already gone.
No, there's still quite a few that are out there, but somebody said all of them are gone. They're not all gone. It's just probably the ones you like are gone, the most popular ones. So here's another one that you can see. This next one was one of our screens. This was a stained glass butterfly. Okay. I'm using pieces that I already had screened because I want to show you how to do the color decoration in this. Okay, and let me show you one more. And this is a poppy that I designed. Both of those were. And so it's already been screened on. What I like to do with our product is silk screen it. Then I take it to the kiln and I set fire the black so that I don't take a chance of moving it around. So these have been fired. You can fire it to an 06 or an 04. Okay, either one. So if you've got a load of Greenware or a load of Glaze going, you can stick that image in there and set that on the bisque so you don't take any chance. That's my preferred way of doing it. Okay, you can test it and see if you can, but I'd rather have it set so that I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so before this gets any thicker, so what I'm going to do is just kind of hold down the other edge of this, and I'm just going to pick this up with my finger, and I'm going to work fairly quickly. Okay, I'm going to start at one end, and I'm just going to what I call rouge the color in place. You got to be careful not to get out on your bisque. Make sure you stay on your screen. And just kind of in a round motion. And I'm going to turn that a little bit to make it easier. I should have put tape over that edge because I'm getting really close. Okay, then I'm going to check it before I remove my tape. Now, if you are on glass, we use squeegees. Can you do this method? You can. It's not my preference. But you have to find what works good for you, okay?
Is the silk screen
I can't get it up.
Is the silk screen a similar process to making screens for t-shirts?
Yes. Is the silk screen a similar process was the question in t-shirt making. So yeah, no matter, it's just whether the mesh is the large or small. I believe these were, it's been a long time, I believe they were 120 mesh. So if you're using somebody else's that's smaller, you may have to thin it down more and not as thick as what I'm doing here. So this looks pretty good, so you can remove that, okay? And then what you would do is just drop this in water and clean it well, okay? I'm going to stick mine in my water bowl just because it does start to stain. The glass silkscreen products really stain it real bad. You can kind of see on this one here, there's some stained images. So you need to get it to the sink and wash it out. I like to use a sprayer. Okay, so this would go in the kiln and fire to an 04 or an 06. Okay, so let me do another one in case somebody is just joining us. So I have the same image, just a little bit larger. And then what I thought I would do is actually do a different color so you can see that. So let me swap those out. You never have enough room, no matter what. Okay, so I'm going to do this one with a, and boy, it starts to thicken on your knife and everything. Okay.
Vicky wants to know, can you tell us the mesh size of the silk screen?
I believe my size of mine, Vicky, she's asking the mesh size. Mine, I believe, was a 120. Okay, so the color stroke that I'm using, I used on the black one, is a opaque underglaze in a squeeze bottle. Okay, is what that one is. I'm going to use, this is an 8-ounce bottle, this is a 2-ounce bottle, and we have it in pints also. I'm going to use deep cerulean on this one and just make a blue. That's just a scratch mark, it won't show up there. Okay, so let's put some of this blue out. In case you're just joined us, you can watch this one, that way you'll know what I did. So now I'm going to take the color thickener, and again, I'm working on ceramic tonight, so I'm going to just cover that with a pinch. Make sure that knife is clean. And you see how that starts to thicken right on the top? I mean, it's quick, so you have to get it kind of worked in there. I've even taken 2 colors on the silkscreen video that's out on the website, and YouTube shows me taking 2 and 3 colors. You can silkscreen on Greenware, guys, or on bisque. I've done both. The one on the website is on Greenware that I did years ago. So if I had 2 different blues, which I didn't put out here, but we'll just do it in one. Okay, you would just stop and, you know, pick up the other color and do it. Okay, so we've got that cottage cheese. If you're using my product, cottage cheese is the look you're getting. Okay, so this is again the color thickener and CS652 deep cerulean. All right, so here we go. Grab it with your finger, and you want to work fairly quickly so you can get it on there and get done. The longer you leave it on there, you take more of a chance of the color seeping through and weeping underneath, especially if you're too thin. So you want to try to have it that cottage cheese consistency. So you see, this is pretty easy. So those of you that might have a shaky hand and you say you can't outline, this is a way you can outline and then color book paint inside that. You can, I even had one customer said that she silk screened with the color strokes on top of a fired glaze. So it had already been fired to an 06, and she did the same process that I'm doing and just refired it to an 06 to let it absorb into the glaze. So it was almost like a Majolica technique. Alright, so just quickly go back over that, make sure you've got it all in there. Okay, so over here on this corner, you see what happened? It weeped through because it was a little bit of an edge, but I'm going to show you how to fix it. That's the nice thing about this. Let me put that screen away and get it off of my finger. I've got stuff under my fingernails. Okay, so what you need then, and I didn't have my brush out here, but let me grab one. Okay, I'm just going to take a sponge real quick and wipe that one off. Okay, if you do it really quick, you can do that. And I'm just going to dampen a brush, and I'm going to push this back over to where it should be. Can you see that okay, Bert? Is it showing up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so you can do that.
Well, I'd say it is. Probably
It's like a 8-second delay. Yeah, 15 maybe second delay. So now I'm just taking a round brush. You could take a liner, and I'm just cleaning out where it weeped inside there.
Sherry wants to know, can the color thickener be bought separately, or is it part of a kit?
No, the question was, can the color thickener be bought separately? Yes, ma'am, it can. I believe that 2-ounce jar is $5, and oh my goodness, it'll last you a lifetime, unless you just do a lot of silk screening. Okay.
And Susan wants to know, can this be done using stains?
Acrylic stains, Susan, clarify that for me. I'm assuming you mean, since you're a ceramic person, you want to know if it can be done with acrylic stains. If that is the question, yes, it could. You're going to have to get it off of there really quick. You better have a container with water in it to put your screen in, get it cleaned immediately, because acrylics dry fairly fast, and what's going to happen is they're going to dry on that silk screen and close up that hole that you're putting the product through. So it's not something I recommend, but can it be done? Sure, it can be done. Okay, so you see how easy that is just to clean up. I'm just taking a clean brush and water and just kind of working that off of there. The color strokes have a little bit of a glaze in them, a tiny bit of clay to help them be opaque, and then of course the pigment. So you have a little bit of time to get it off of there. Did I answer her question, or did she come back and
said yes, so she must have been talking about it.
Okay, so she was talking about acrylic stain. So just get it off of there quickly if you're going to do it, okay? Definitely off of there. Okay, so I'm not going to piddle with this anymore, but you can see, do you see how thick that is? I mean, you could add more color to it and thin it back down a little bit, but you can use quite a bit of it, for quite a while. All right. Let me get a paper towel. Hold on. I forgot to get me a couple. Oh, I do have one here. All right, so then after you fire this and set it to an 06, what I was going to show you is that if you just wanted the blue color, I'm not going to worry about cleaning this up, you could put out some fresh product, and you could just do a monochromatic, meaning all one color. Always dampen your brush, and I've just got a number 4. This is our paste brush that we use in glass. It's a number 4 round. It's got synthetic and sable hairs in it. But do we have a question?
Well, yes.
Okay, what's the question?
Are your paints like the McCoy and Duncan underglazes?
Okay, so the question was, are my colors like the Duncan and McCoy underglazes? This is an opaque underglaze that I'm using, so whatever the equivalent would be in those products. I believe, like David Hoff used to silk screen, and he's used quite a few of our screens. He did it with concepts or stroke and coats. So my color strokes would be an equivalent to a concept or a stroke and coat. Okay, if you're using a different brand, we'd like for you to use ours, but I understand you need to use that up, and then you can come in here and you could do some comma strokes and just make this a fun blue on blue. Okay, so we'll just do a quick little demonstration on brush strokes. So when you do a comma stroke, you press down, pull, and lift to get a tail. Okay, so I'm going to just do another one over here. Press, pull, and lift. Press, pull, and lift. Okay, so you could go around and do that. You could put dots, all different types of things. Then I would fire and set this, and then I might come back in with some washes. Okay, so these are the two that I just screened, the black the 601 and the 652. So what I'm going to show you now is how to do your color decoration, which is the fun part. Okay, so I've wiped my tile down, my piece that I'm going to work on, with water and a sponge. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so actually, you know what, I was going to show you. Let me show you on this one because I think you'll get more out of. I did a webinar on this complete project. I'm not going to do all of it, but I want to show you a couple of things. Okay, so now what I've got is I'm going to use 1/16 Florida orange, 1/15 tangerine peel, and 1/12 candy apple red. Again, these are our translucent underglazes. They are called color concentrates, or CCs. We have them packaged as CC enhancers in the glass world. Okay, so I'm going to use 3 different values to create an orange poppy is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use just the pure color. I always put my color out in the order that I'm going to use them. Always shake these well. They come in 1 ounce and 2 ounce in pints. So this is a 1, this is a 2. Always shake everything well because they're in a gel base. They congeal, they thicken around the wall. So make sure you shake them to liquefy them before you ever add any water. And if you add water, we would prefer that you add distilled water. And the reason for that is everybody's water across the country has different minerals in them, okay, and that sometimes that can cause a problem, like too much calcium, that type of thing. Okay, so I'm going to move my water bowl over here. Of course, I have my silk screen stuck down in there. Did you have a question, Bert? Okay.
Sorry, I had an edge.
That's okay. All right, so now what I'm using is my sumi brushes. I find that this is the easiest way, and for the last 25, almost 30 years, I probably do 85% of my ceramic painting with my sumi brushes. So I'm going to show you a couple of techniques to accomplish that. Okay, so what I want to do is water load, and then I want you to just to blot it on a paper towel to get you moisten the hairs is what you're doing. Okay, and water load, drag off to a point. Do you see how I'm dragging, and I'm turning the brush so that I get a nice point on that brush. Okay, and then I'm going to tip it into the orange. The orange is going to be the lighter value around the outer edge. Let me get rid of that towel. And I'm going to tuck this color where I want it. Okay, so I'm kind of leaning the brush back a little bit, especially so you can see it. So I'm going to tuck it in, sit it down, mush, mush, mush. I'm going to walk it to the right and walk it to the left. And as I'm doing that, I may need to grab a little bit more color. So I've got 3 values here. I'm going to come about 1/3 of the way with the first one. Okay. Without washing, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the tangerine. And this time I want to turn my piece because I want the darker to be down towards the center.
Is the water in your pot distilled as well?
It is not. The question was, is the water in my water bowl distilled? It is not. But if you start thinning in especially in your bottles and stuff, if you put water in them, use distilled. I know that my water is okay. Like over in Dallas, they have a lot of calcium in their water, so I caution them. Okay, so I've still got that second color in there. So now I'm going to grab some of the red, the 112, and I'm going to tuck it where I want it, down next to that center, and walk it back because I still have some in my brush. See how I'm going back and forth until I'm basically fussing with it, putzing around until I get what I want. Okay, this is going to go on at least 2, if not 3 coats like this. Okay, so the first coat should look very thin and translucent. It is a translucent underglaze, so when it fires, and I don't have the finished piece to show you, I think I Gave it away a long time ago. The black lines will show through, okay? So I'm going to rinse my brush because
Is there a way to search for screens for ones that are still available?
Is there a way to search on the website for ones that are still available? No, there really isn't. You just have to go to the silkscreen little tab on the home page, and then there is a way on the left-hand margin. At that point, you should be able to go by category, like holiday, animals, that type of thing, so that might help eliminate some of your search. Okay, so I rinsed that out of my brush. I'm going to load with the orange. So it's still damp, but it doesn't have water in it, okay? I like to skip every other petal because then I let one dry and my colors don't merge over the top. Okay, so this is the orange again. I'm just kind of tapping it in. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Walk it to the right, walk it to the left. This is a turn back, so you can go ahead and add some of that on there. We can add other colors. So a third to a half, turn your piece, and this is extremely important to get the blending and to make it look more gradual, because if you have the color this way, you're going to see a line of that color. Right now there is still orange in the belly of the brush, and I've added the tangerine on the end, so that color is going to push back into the other one and blend those together for me.
Did you say this was color concentrate?
Yes, these are the color concentrates, and I'm using 116, 115, I don't know if I can get those where you can see them, and 112, and I'm using them straight. There's a couple of different techniques that you can do, but this is one, and we'll hit others later in a different video. Okay, so with that still in my brush, I'm going to grab into the red, the candy apple red, and I'm still aiming that color where I want it because I have tangerine on my brush, and sit it down, mush, 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 walk it to the right and walk it to the left. Now you have a turn back, so you may want to bring a little bit of that, and I'm aiming the brush towards the turn back. Aim it. Don't keep going this way, but I'll show you some other things later, okay? Now what I didn't do is I didn't put any of the tangerine, that second red, kind of on that lower side. So I'm going to add it. Be sure and tell me if I get off camera or anything. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to rinse my brush, blot out the moisture on a paper towel, go back to the orange, and do another one. So you see I have quite a bit of orange on my brush, and I'm just mushing the color in place. This is the, I came up with these sumi brushes, like I said, 25 plus years ago, because I loved the way China painted pieces looked, and so this is a way that you don't have to have a round, you don't have to have a square, you can do all your decorating with your sumi brushes. There are 4 different sizes. So we have the mini, the small, the medium, and this is the large. They are all on sale, whether you buy the kit of all 4 or if you buy the one individual. Okay, that one I came a little bit far down on, but I'm not worried about it. It's just makes it more opaque. So I'm adding the tangerine, and you notice I turned my piece, I'm aiming the color where it goes. Now I'm going to get the red, and I'm going to aim it where it goes and work it back. And this one goes underneath that and underneath that petal. Okay, so while that is drying a little bit, you can see that this is getting chalky over here on the edge, and so that means it's drying. Where it looks damp, it's still wet, so that's chalky. Okay, so let's do
Ben wants to know,
yes,
can this technique be done on glass also?
the question was, can this technique be done on glass? It's going to be hard because this is ceramic bisque, and so the bisque absorbs the color, Okay, the glass is porous, meaning nothing can seep into it. So there's other techniques you can do, but this one, you can do it if you do a enamel pour, like with white and layering mix, and then come back and use your color concentrates on top to decorate when it's dry. I have a video out there. If you'll just look for under the enamels, you'll find that one. And you can send me specific questions. So now I'm going to put out some 123 sunflowers, and then I'm going to go to 161 green leaf. I'm going to do a leaf next, okay, to show you how I do that while those are drying a little bit. And then 162 laurel green. Laurel green is extremely strong. You notice that I don't put much of that out because you don't need very much, okay? So let's tackle this one, and I'm going to do one side of the leaf at a time. Okay, so I'm going to move those back out of the way. So I think we've established that these are color concentrates. Okay, so I'm grabbing the yellow, and I want it on the outer edge of my leaf. So see how I'm bouncing? Now I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this, because when you do that, you get rabbit tracks, I call them. Okay, you will see every stroke mark that you make. So you need to just bounce, and I never lift up until I'm ready to reload. A little bit more of the yellow on my brush, and then I'm going to tap it in on that tip. All right, so then I'm going to turn, and I'm going to grab the green leaf, and I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the center vein on this one, because remember, I have yellow in my brush, so that green is bleeding back into the yellow. And again, I'm using the medium Sumi brush, and then I can pick up a little tiny bit of the dark, the laurel green, and add it just on that center vein. And you can also add it where your shadows would be if you have petals that lay over it. I'm going to rinse, blot, and then I'll do the other side. Start with the yellow sunflowers, 123, tuck it in, set it down, mush, 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 walk it to the right and walk it to the left. So I'm bouncing along. Okay, turn the piece, and you're going to you would put a couple of coats this way, and I'll show you how to test to see how opaque or solid. I'm going to just kind of take that up to the end. It is.
Okay.
So we have a question.
Ellen Wortham wants to know, would more than 3 colors be too much?
No, I'm using 3 colors right now. So I'm using
more than.
Oh, more than. No, you would use the same principle. You'd probably put the light and a medium aiming towards the outside, and then the other 2 aiming the other direction. The key is, and if you send me a picture and say mine doesn't look like yours, I can look at yours and say, you know what, you didn't turn your brush. You aimed your brush going the wrong way. That's why you have a stark line. Okay. And those of you that were here 2 weeks ago for the yellow rose piece, I'm getting ready to upload that video. I finished it, and I finished painting it, and I glazed it, and all of that is going to be put into the video. It's in the video. I just have to upload it to YouTube. I didn't have enough time tonight, and I don't do those uploads when I'm online because of the bandwidth. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm just going to add a little bit more, and I put the light green, and now I'm going to add the dark green. Okay, so you don't have to come back and outline this like our traditional, because it's gonna, those lines are going to come through. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back and show you a second coat on one of these. I'm not going to finish it. I just wanted you to at least see how this is done. The video files are out there. This is called Watercolor Poppy on the website, and you can download the video files and the PDF if you want to purchase the full technique. Okay, so I'm going to turn it, grab my tangerine peel, and add it there in the middle. So you can see it's getting darker. And now I'm going to grab the red, and I'm aiming or pointing that brush where I want that color to sit. I want it down there. Okay, rinse, blot. Let's do another one real quick. Any other questions
Well,
or comments that I need to address?
just Michael Nagy wants to know what kit he should start with, but you can get back to him later.
Okay, so we have the CC Enhancer Kit number 1 has your primary colors. And guess what? I think I actually have one sitting here. Alright, so this is the Enhancer Kit 1. We use this in the glass industry and the ceramic. We do have a CC 41 kit that has all 41 colors. Okay, each one of these 1, 2, and 3 have like 14 colors in them. I do have, you can do a search on the website for Underglaze Kit, and it does have a pint of our clear glaze in it, and it's got those 14 colors if I remember correctly. Eventually I'll teach Bert how to get those links and put them in the text. Alright, so I've got the orange on that one. I'm going to turn, constantly turn, go into tangerine, add it, and then grab my red at the base. And you know, some of you may say, well, I don't want to glaze right over that because I'm afraid I'll smear it. There's a trick to that you won't smear it. If you overwork with your fan brush, you're going to smear anything that you overwork. But you don't have to wait overnight. I do mine immediately, and I'll show you a little trick. And it's at the end of that yellow rose video. It'll probably take it 2 or 3 hours to upload tonight, so check that out. It was Facebook Live 2 weeks ago. If you want to go back on my page and try to find it, but I am putting it on YouTube. The YouTube one will have the glazing and talks about witness cones, and I added some other stuff at the end. Okay. All right, any questions?
Nope.
All right, let's go ahead and, before I forget what I'm doing, let's add our second coat on this little guy. So you can see it goes fairly quickly. I can paint a piece like this probably in less than an hour.
Are you going to do the Florida Fall show?
Right now, the question was, am I doing the Florida Fall show? I don't have any plans to do that because I just don't feel comfortable. My husband is high risk, and I don't want to bring something back to him. The only show that I might go to, if they have it, would be the Columbia, South Carolina show. That's usually the first weekend or so in June, but I have not heard from them. And the only reason I would go to that one is because I judge that show. They have a large competition. We didn't have it last year, of course, because of COVID. Okay, so you can come back. I've still got the tangerine, and now I've put some red on here, and I'm just aiming that brush. Do you see that I'm aiming it where it goes? Okay, and I'm just kind of bounce, bounce, bounce. Okay, another technique. Let's assume I have 3 coats on here. Water load your brush. This is still the sumi. Drag off to a point multiple times. I'm turning the brush over and dragging, turning it and dragging. That removes the excess. Okay, I'm going to grab just on the tip some of the red. Okay, and I'm going to do what I call a tuck and slide. I've already given you your outlines, okay, but I'm going to grab right behind this line. I'm going to tuck it in and pat, 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 and slide. Okay, so I put a little bit of the red on the end. Let's do that again. I've got water in my brush. Pat, 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 pull. I'm going to turn it to this side. Isn't that a cool way to shade? And it's still damp. I mean, I would let it dry normally. Tap, 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 and pull. Make sure you're pulling in the direction of your petal so that it looks natural. So that's a way that you can shade. I'm going to rinse that brush. The red starts getting up in there and I don't want it. I just want it on the very, very tip of the brush. Okay. All right, so I'm going to tuck it in, tap, 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 and pull down. So I'm aiming the brush against the line and I'm sliding it down. I've got enough water on this brush, so I'm going to do another one here and pull. Now I'm going to turn and I'm going to go from the other side. And what this does is allows you to create like folds. It looks more dimensional. And let's go over here, tuck that in and slide. I'm going to turn and tuck, pat, 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 slide. And let's add this one up here also. You can also do that coming out from the center. Now my centers are really, really wet, so it wouldn't do me any good. What happens is you start lifting it off if you start fussing with it. Okay, so after these two, normally I would do that after my third coat, but these will just be very light. Okay, I don't think I want any of that on leaves as far as adding any extra. Okay, you can color in just by blocking in. You see I'm still using the Sumi brush. So when I designed these years ago, I wanted something that, you know, a lot of people can't afford a lot of brushes, and my seniors that I was teaching, quite a few of them at the time, that they had trouble shading. And I was like, okay, what can I do? I want to make a brush that they can base coat, and then I want to make one they can shade with. They don't have to learn how to water load, corner, a square shader. They can do this. Okay, so that's why I came out with these brushes years ago, and thank goodness we didn't have them for a while, and they are back in stock. All right, so I water loaded, and I'm going to...
Here wants to know, can you still see the outline after 3 coats?
Yes, you can, because these are translucent underglazes. The only exception would be like that dark green. The question was, can you still see the black lines? You may look like some of them are chalked over, but they will come through when it's fired, I promise you. Let me show you the finished piece. This one let me move this so it's not confusing. So this one here, when I did the water load, tip in the color, and I just tucked the color in and did it. So you can see how the black still comes through really, really black. So hopefully that answers that question. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Put that away. All right. So I just blocked in 1 coat with that green. I'm going to put some of the green back in my brush, but I'm going to pull off most of it, and then a little tiny bit of the dark green, and I'm going to shade the bottom of that center, and then you can shade a little bit in that there. Okay, the little top section of that. Okay, so that's a way to do 2 coats. You saw me blend 3 colors. Here is a butterfly. It can be done the same type of way. Okay, now these in the glass world, I painted like 1/2 with the light green, 1/2 with the dark green, and that works really good too. But you can also just block in, and with the Sumi brushes it applies a nice smooth coat, and I'm just kind of working out those brush strokes so that you don't see those. Okay, for a soft, I got outside my line, so I'm just going to take a clean brush and water and swish it back and forth. Okay, and push it back. What I'd say is tell it to get back inside the fence. Okay, so let's do another one up here. Try to stick with the direction that anything is growing, or the shape. Don't go across Don't go this way across the grain. You want to stay with the shape. So with the light green still in the brush, I'm going to get a little bit more. I'm going to drag that off on the corner of my palette to get a nice point, and I'm going to tip into the dark green, and I'm going to tuck that dark green where the shadow would be. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Walk it to the right and walk it to the left. Now when I'm doing that, I like to start in the center and then walk to the right, walk to the left. The reason I do that is because if you start over on one side or the other, you're going to get all the color right there, and by the time you get across, you're going to hardly have anything left. So if you're in the middle and you work at both directions, it disperses it more evenly. Okay, so I'm going to grab a little bit more of that dark green and come up here and do the same thing. See how I started in the middle, and then I'm kind of coming back, meaning moving the brush back so that it makes the dark area longer or more of it. Did you have a question?
No.
Okay, no question. All right, so once again, even though this is pure pigment in a gel base, these concentrates, if you get it off right away, so if you go outside your line, so I'm just taking a clean brush and water and just pushing it back and shimmying it. I call it shimmy it back and forth. Okay. All right. Any questions about what we're done? So this has been fired. This is just a bisque tile that I silk screened using the Color Stroke Black along with the thickener, and went through my silk screen. I fired it to an 04 or an 06. Either one will work. Okay. So what color of butterfly do we want? I don't want a yellow one. I'm going to go with blues. So this is 150 light cerulean, and then I'm going to go with 152. So let's just do 2 colors. That's a pretty dark color. Alright, so my brush is damp, it's blotted. I'm going to grab, I shook those colors before. I'm working that, what I call it is I'm shampooing the brush. I'm working that color into my brush by pushing against the outside of the palette there. Okay, so I want the lighter to the outside. So once again, I'm going to aim the brush where I want it. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Now this one I did start at one end, because you're going to say, Paula, you just said start in the middle. That's when I'm shading. When I'm blocking in or adding the first color, you could start at either end. Isn't that pretty? So I'm going to leave this color in my brush, and I'm going to tip into the deep cerulean, which is CC 152, and I'm going to tuck this in. I kind of have to, because I'm in a small area, almost like paint that in and then start working back. Okay, sit it down, mush, mush, mush. And I'm going to go over that direction, but I'm going to have to come in here and literally paint that skinny line in. There's no way to get it, but just make sure when you get back here towards the end that you're pushing down. So there's light blue in my brush. I've got the dark blue on the tip. So when you press down, it's causing that color to bleed across and into the lighter color. I'm going to rinse my brush, blot out the moisture, fully load with the light blue 150 light cerulean, and we'll go over here and do this one. I'm finding glitter everywhere on my table. Like I said, I was painting ornaments earlier. I'll probably have glitter fired on my ceramic pieces. Okay, any questions about what I'm doing? I'm just straight color concentrates out of the jar. Now, there's other techniques where you can add your color concentrates 50-50 with your gloss medium. And it does blend easier. If you're afraid you're going to make a mistake or something, then do that, but the same technique. Just mix it in your palette, okay? It works great. I usually do that when I'm on top of Clay Dimensions, our piping product. We have a black and a white clay dimensions.
Everyone wants to know, is the butterfly going to be one of the giveaways?
You just won the rose, Missy. It might be. It might be. Tonight, actually, one of the prizes is I'm going to give away the rose brushstroke one that I did on bisque the other night during the show. And this is at the end of the video that will be uploaded to YouTube also, with the comma strokes and all that. There's some of it that I didn't talk. Now see, I sit there and I didn't get this on, and it's starting to dry. But anyway, that one's at the end. So I'm going to give that one away, and yeah, probably the butterfly. That's fine. She just talked me into it. Thanks, Luann. But you can't win again now. All right, so I have to paint that in, that skinny line. Okay. So you could do this on Greenware. The nice thing about on Greenware, you can just scrape it off if something happens and you don't like it. You can sand it off, scrape it off. Okay. Isn't that pretty? All right, I'm going to rinse my brush, and we'll do these bottom ones. You guys tell me when you're tired of me, because I can sit here and paint this. But basically, you're going to paint it. Oh, I do want to show you before I forget it. So I use, and I think I showed this at the end of the rose, this is just a fine mister bottle. Don't get the ones that have the pump, because they spit out like droplets of water, which can make your color run. You can see on this one how it's starting to dry. It becomes chalky around the edges. Did you have a question? Okay. Stay about 6 inches away from it, but this is what you would do before you glaze. Okay. So if you missed it lightly, you can see what those colors are going to be when they are fired. And I missed lightly, let the water puddle go away. In other words, if you tilt it and you see something that's still really wet, don't try to glaze over it. But within probably 3 minutes, I apply glaze to this. And I show you that on that other video, and I'll probably pull that out and make a separate glazing video also. I've rinsed my semi brush out, blotted out the water. I'm loading the light blue, which is 150 light cerulean. Okay, and I'm tucking that color where I want it, which is along the outside of the wing. Now, these videos, of course, since this happened, I had to go into this a different way. There'll be multiples, so what I'll have to do is on YouTube, I'll put them all together. Okay, guys? Sorry about that technology, wouldn't you know? Okay, so turn your piece around. Now pick up the deep cerulean just a little bit on the tip. It's very strong. And I'm going to start in the middle of that area and then work it around. And I'm coming back, and now I'm going down. Is everything okay? Did everybody find me? We got a few.
20 of them have found you again.
Okay. I had to go live, just live, not within that link of the event is what happened. It's the only way that I knew how to get it back on there real quick. Sorry, guys. Like I said, technology. Don't you love it? Can't live with it. Can't live without it. Okay, so you can see that these are dry because they're chalky, and then your wet has that wet look. Okay. You could come back and... Okay, now I see my hands. Am I right, guys? Tell me. I hope I'm back.
Just remember, we're behind.
Yeah, you're a few minutes behind.
I see your hand rolling around.
Okay. All right, so...
But it's still got your background up behind it.
It's going off. It'll be there in a minute. I can see myself.
I can see your
okay, guys.
I can see your hand. Move your hand. There you go.
All right, so we're going to use this camera to finish real quick, okay? I'm trying to remember. I just did a second coat on this one. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put another coat on this, even though I put that darker blue around the edge. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what was happening, that it wasn't reading. I was trying to switch back and forth between the camera, and it got stuck. So with the light blue in the brush, tip into the deep cerulean. Okay,
So
I think
you got
I'm
that
good.
logo thing up in the corner.
It's okay.
There you go.
We're
Now
just going to
now
have
you're
to
good. Now you're good.
deal with it. Okay. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Okay, so after you finish the two colors, you want to rinse your brush. And this is my second coat doing this. See, I already did that one. So you can see that you can easily apply color. You don't have to know a lot about shading. It's just a matter of tucking that brush where it needs to be with the color that you have on it. If it's light and you want a light area, then you need to tuck it in that area. Just wiping off an edge. Turn your piece. Now grab your dark, tuck it in, and I'm just going to get that going, and then I'll come back and fine tune and get it down there further. Okay. Whoops. Wow, I really went out. Now I'm stressing because of the cameras. So I'm just swishing it and pushing it back. I guess if I make the mistake and show you how to correct it, then you'll know, right? Okay. Rinse your brush after that dark. And I think that this one, I've lost track of where I've been, honestly, after all the camera problems. And then the cat. Oh my goodness. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. Sorry. I just, you know, I hate to leave it unfinished. I want you to see what you can do with the colors. And like I said, you can do this in Greenware also. So I'm just tapping that in and tucking it around. Okay, I think I've got two coats on everything. So if you want to do the shading around the edge, we're going to go to this dry one. I didn't rinse. I still have the light blue and up in the brush, and then I have some of that dark on the end, but I picked up more dark, some fresh, and I'm going to walk it back and forth. I started in the center of the area, and look at where my brush is always aimed to the outside. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Walk it to the right, walk it to the left. I ran out, so I'm going to start it here and kind of walk it back and forth before I go up here. And then I need to add some of that dark down here, and I'm just going to thin it down.
Cindy Lee says I cannot find where to order the thickener.
The thickener, if you just type in thickener in the search bar at the top, the product code is CT, I think it's 2 for 2 ounce. Okay, so I can come up here and I can do the same. Now I can see that my brush is kind of getting dry, so I'm going to tap into water. I'm going to grab some of the light. I really didn't rinse it. I just grabbed some water just to help loosen, because I was starting to grab and stick in place. Okay, so I'm going to grab some of the lighter blue because I'm on top of the light blue. Start in the middle of that area and then walk it back and forth. Actually, I'm going to rinse because it's getting really dry on me. Too much dry color down in the hairs of the brush. Okay, so I'm starting with some fresh. Grab a little bit more. It's always better to keep adding than it is to try to take something off. So multiple thin coats of your underglazes, translucent or opaque, is better than one thick heavy coat. After 2 coats, you need to let something dry, no matter what you're working on, and then you come back with your 3rd coat. Another point is on our clear glaze, we only need to apply 2 coats of clear, and that's plenty. Other companies, you will, I think a lot of them are a 3 coat, but ours is 2 coats, and you will see the colors through your glaze. So when you're applying the glaze, you're going to say, oh, I don't have enough in that area. I can still see my colors. You will see your colors. So don't keep adding, or you can overglaze it, and then what's going to happen is it'll get milky because you've got too much on there. Okay, I'm going to grab another brush with just a little bit of water, and I'm going to swish and push back anything that's outside my line. You could do this with a square shader, anything that has some substance to it. Your sumi brushes are really thin and flexible, and so they are not good to do that with. It's better that you use a round or a square shader to do it with. So you see how I'm just tap, 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 but I'm bouncing. I'm not lifting. I'm not doing this thing. I'm not doing this. I'm sitting it and bouncing it back and forth until I get a nice gradual blend from dark to light. Okay. All right, I'm doing this just like I would do it if I were teaching you a class. Okay. So now if you wanted to, you could come back and add the darker color possibly in, and you can do that with a sumi, or you can do it with a round. Let's go to the small sumi because I'm in a smaller area, and I'm just going to grab some of the dark, fully load my brush so that the hairs are coated, and you can come in here and almost do like a brush stroke in that area. You could have sumi shaded on the outside and the inside and left it white in the middle. That would be another way to do that. And I covered up this. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a minute. Nothing like painting on the fly. Meaning I had no plan. What, Bert?
I'm painting on the butterfly.
Yeah, butterfly, not fly. Meaning I had no plan when I started. And this is what it came out to be. Okay, so I'm just putting a thin, so this will be translucent. The black will come through. In case you're just joining, we had, there's a couple of other videos out there because we had technical problems. So the beginning of this, I think we got almost an hour in before I had to reload cameras and everything. Okay, so anyway, I mean, I can keep going. I can keep doing the leaves. Now on one side I filled in the area, on the other side I didn't. So what I would do is come in here with that dark, come over here on this side and pull that in. Also, it already has some dark on it, but that way it's the same. And I'll probably put another coat on that side because this is darker. Okay, just to even those out. All right. Then you could come in and, you know, continue to do your greens. Okay, so let's spray this, and I'm going to kind of hold this. All right, so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. All right, so that's how you can tell what, and it's going to be more vibrant, but that is going to show you exactly what you've got when you fire it. Okay, so on the green, what I did was just block in and get some more light. Just pick one. So I blocked it in, and you could fire and set this color before you glaze it if you want, if you're uncomfortable glazing over the top. I'm not going to be able to glaze this with you because it's going to take too long to finish it. You guys will not hang around that long. Okay, I don't think, but anyway. All right, I grabbed a little bit of the dark laurel green on the tip of my brush, and I'm put it in the middle, sit it down, mush, 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 walk it to the left and walk it to the right. Now see, I started picking up the green, the lighter green. So I'm going to have to add some of that. There could be a hard spot there. Who knows? All right, so this is kind of, you can paint the black in the body or a dark green. You could put this dark green in there too. You can come back and you can shade down one side. Remember how we did it on the poppies? We did a tuck and slide. Whoops. Look at that. I made a mess. That's okay. You're going to watch me clean it up. Do it in a hurry because it's going to start. The key is it is color concentrate. It's a concentrated color, so it's going to stain the bisque if you don't get it off of there. So if you're uncomfortable with that, earlier I said you could mix our gloss medium NT clear, which is our clear glaze. You could mix it equal parts with your translucent underglaze, your CCs, color concentrates, and then do the same technique, same number of coats and everything, and it's going to make it even more translucent because you're adding glaze to it. Okay, but that's a way that you can do down the center. You could shade underneath the body. Yes, do we have a question?
Robin said when you sprayed the poppy like that, that's where you froze last time. Can you show the glazing brushes you used?
Sure.
I didn't get to see them.
Okay, so here's the poppy that we did at the beginning. Okay, and this was the fan glaze brush. This is a number 8. We have a size 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And you would put some glaze out in your little cup, and then you would go 1, 2, 3. Load with more glaze. 1, 2, 3. Load with more glaze. But I would spray this first before I did that. Okay, so let's spray this one again, 6 inches back, and when you spray it, you can see what it's going to look like when it fires. It's going to intensify. Okay, so once this is dried for maybe a minute, minute and a half, then I would go into my glaze. 1, 2, 3. Load with glaze. 1, 2, 3. Load with glaze. 1, 2, 3. If you go back and forth across it like this, all that's going to happen is you're going to pick up that color. You could fire and set the color, like I said earlier, if you wanted to, at an 04 or an 06, and then come back and clear glaze if you're uncomfortable with that. Okay? All right, guys. So,
question, does it run when you glaze it?
No, it's not going to run. It will, if you overwork it with the brush, it will smear it, but it doesn't run. The only reason anything would run is if you over apply the glaze, meaning you put on too many coats, and if you held too long at your top temperature, then it could start moving anything with the cobalt in it, meaning dark blues and the blacks. That's the only time. Heat work will cause colors to move. Okay, but this is a non-moving, unleaded, clear glaze, so it's not going to move. Okay? Yes?
Can you clear glaze the tile first and still get the same effect with the color concentrates?
It's not going to bond on there. This is porous because it's bisque. Okay, so the colors are absorbing into it. If you were on top of a glazed surface, you know, like we had our tile here, you can't, let me just, when you do the green, see, it just sits there, and this actually has a mat on it, so it's a little bit different, but it just sits on top of there. It doesn't absorb anywhere, and it starts repelling, of course, because this is a dirty, you know, I mixed this color to silkscreen earlier. So no, you can silkscreen on top of a glaze. Mary Ray Meredith, I think is who it was, has done that with ours. I have not tried it, but she has done it successfully many times. Okay, so no, I would not try to do. You need to be on something porous that it's going to absorb into, whether it's Greenware or this is an 04 bisque tile. I think this is a commercial tile, yes, that I bought.
I don't know if I missed something.
Okay.
Do you have some kind of sanding brush?
Do I have some kind of sanding brush?
You had some kind of sanding brush? Question.
Who's saying that?
That's Vicky Young.
Vicky, what do you mean by sanding brush? It may have auto-corrected her or something. Maybe she... Can you put in there again exactly what you're asking? This is the fan brush that I use to glaze with. But I don't have a... There's not... You wouldn't want anything to sand off. Has she?
It could be autocorrect.
Okay.
How many coats of clear glaze do you put on top?
2 coats of our clear glaze. That is the Colors for Earth CSP01. So C stands for Colors for Earth, S is Specialty, P is Product. This is a gloss medium NT, meaning non-toxic clear glaze. Originally this was just our medium, and then when we had to go unleaded, 8 9 years ago maybe, we had to use this as our clear glaze. Now you could put 2 coats of this down and then do this on top of it if you wanted to. You could do that, but I wouldn't recommend firing the glaze on and then trying to decorate, because it has nowhere for the color to absorb into. I hope that makes sense. And feel free to message me, Vicki, if that's not what you were talking about. We're not sure if that was an autocorrect or what it was.
Does it matter what kind of glaze you use?
Okay, good question. It was, does it matter what kind of glaze you use? Guys, remember, if you start mixing apples and oranges, different companies together, there could be issues. I can tell you that we all put, not that you need to know this, but the calcium that's in the clear glaze can bleach out the pinks and purples on other companies' underglazes. My clear glaze over theirs can bleach out, meaning fade it out, the pinks and purples. If you put, let's say Mako, Duncan, over my pinks and purples, it's going to fade out my colors. You will have to add more coats of the color before you use that clear glaze. So it's a good idea to stick with whatever underglaze. Make sure you use the same company's clear glaze. And I'm not telling you that just because I'm the company owner. It's the God honest truth. Because somebody, even one of my customers that had used mine forever, she's like, Paula, it went away. My pink is not there. It was there before I glazed it. Took me 6 conversations to find out she had used somebody else's. And she didn't remember at the time, but she had used someone else's clear glaze over mine, and that's why it bleached it out. Okay, so meaning faded it out. It went away. So if you were using purples on here, you would have to definitely go 3, maybe 4 coats if you were using someone else's clear glaze and not mine. Okay. All right, so let's wrap this up. I know I've been on a long time. So Bert, of course, we don't have any of the comments. Guys, hopefully you...
take one from the first one and one from the second one if I can find it.
If you can get to it? Okay. So he's going to spend... so the first person will win this finished piece. It's like a little dessert plate, excuse me. And you're going to write these down so we know.
Oh, I suppose.
Okay. And Jackie Jordan, I still owe you one. Den, I don't have the ink ones done yet, so I'm getting to it hopefully by the end of the week. Okay, he's getting ready to read off a name.
Looks like Janice Bernie Colette.
Janice Bernie Colette?
Yep.
Janice Bernie Colette, you are the winner of this rose dessert plate. Janice, what I need you to do is I need you to message me with your name, address, email, and a phone number so that I can send this to you. Okay? If by any chance you order product, I will send it with the product. Okay? So I'll wait a couple of days just in case. All right. Can you spin further back, or do you have the...
I'm going to go see if I can find the other.
Oh, he's going to go see if he can get onto the other video and spin on that one. Hi, Ginger. Yeah, I know. Technology. Don't you love it? Okay, while he's doing that, I'm going to continue. He's going to try to go back on the other one to make it fair, because we had a lot of comments on that other first video that was like an hour. Did you find it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. So try not...
Well,
sometimes he's...
that's got them squashed and don't have them all.
Just say view all. And if you commented a lot, you have more chances to win. And while he's doing that, I'm just going to continue to paint here a little bit. And you guys can... It's taking him a minute where he's learning technology, and then we're trying to find that other video. Sorry about that. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully you've learned something. Send me emails, messages, whatever, and I'll get back to you with the answers. Okay, did you find it? Oh, no, he hasn't found it yet.
Yes, I've got it.
Oh, he's got it. Okay.
Load the comments.
He's loading the comments. Sorry, I'm impatient. What can I say? Sorry. All right. This is a really cool design. And I'm looking at some other ways of producing screens again. I just don't have time. Maybe we can give that job to Bert.
Michael Nagy.
Michael Nagy. You are the winner of this butterfly tile. Michael Nagy. Am I saying that right? N-E-G?
N-A-G-Y.
N-A-G-Y. All right. So, Michael, I need you to do the same. I need you to send me your information, address, phone number, email, so I can send you tracking on the package. And give me a week to 2 weeks to finish everything. I'm behind on a couple things, and I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done at one time. So, I will send this to you when I'm finished. I'll probably put, well, yeah, I'll probably put a watercolor. If you want to stick with me 2 seconds, hold on, let me finish this one because I will need to do it while it's wet, and I'll show you a real quick trick, and then I can go back to figure that one out. Okay, so remember I told you that you could mix the clear glaze with your to do this blending technique. Well, I'm gonna actually put out some clear, and I'm gonna add the light blue to it. And then I'm going to mix that up. So basically I've thinned down my color with glaze is what I've done. Okay. Now, because this is a little bit thinner, and now I got to find some clean water over here. I'm going to just, I've got water on my brush, and I can come in here and just mush and constantly turn. We did this on the background of the yellow rose. Just constantly turning your brush in different angles, and you can put 1 or 2 colors on here. I'm probably going to just do the 1 color. I might sumi shade up against that outline with the darker blue, but I have glaze mixed with the concentrate, so therefore it's a thinner and it keeps it open. Okay, in the toll world, toll painting, acrylics, the word medium is an extender, an opener. So when you add the medium to your color concentrates, what it does is leave it open longer and allows you to manipulate it. Okay, so think of it that way. That's how I used to explain it, because they're like, why is it called medium? That is why. Because it keeps it open longer and allows me to move it around and manipulate it if I had 2 or 3 colors. But it gives it almost like a watercolor type look to the background. You can also take this color and mix it. You can mix the color with the glaze, and then you can thin it with some water, and you can flood the color in, which you could do in this background. Who knows what I'll end up with. Whatever I do, I will tape it tomorrow, and I'll add it to the video when I put it on YouTube, when I piece all this together. Okay. Alright guys, so that just shows you another way that you can use the color. And there's so many different techniques. I mean, I've been doing this for, we bought the company back in 2006, and I had worked with the color for 5 years before that. So almost 20 years I've developed all different types of techniques with the product. So more to come on later Facebooks or YouTubes. So make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe, click that bell so you get notification. I may even try going live on YouTube to see if it is better than the Facebook. You never know what technology is going to do to you. Okay. All right guys, and then I'll put this around the edge also. So let me turn it around here. The nice thing is you can rinse, and you could come in here with water and you can soften it even more if you see something you don't like. But it's pretty cool the way it looks. And I've got something right there. Alright, so let's mist it one last time and we're done. Okay, so I'm going to stand 6 inches back, and that's what you've got. So because I've misted this, you would not try to glaze and fire the piece the same day. You would want it to completely dry before you put it in the kiln, because it's going to get moisture and just create bubbles. Okay. All right guys, thanks for joining me.